Hi, ladies. Welcome to day 3. Okay, so the background is different because your girl is not a video editor, and we had some audio issues on the live of day 3, and I thought I could edit it, but it's just taking me too long. So I'm just going to re-record. I hope that's okay with you guys. I do have the original if you want to kind of bear through some of the audio issues. But welcome to day 3. I'm so excited because today we get to talk about getting a contract and really going from that conversation that we talked about yesterday or on day 2 to really then how do you present a contract that where you can price really the value that you bring to the table and really make it a collaborative experience so it doesn't feel salesy in any way and just feels very natural and really easy to do for both the client and for you. So today, that's what today's all about. We are going to do a little settling in because today is really almost like day 1. We want to get curious, especially when it comes to pricing and really why we have trouble sometimes going and asking for that raise even at work, or raising our prices or asking for prices that are larger contracts. So remember, I always say that everything is emotional. So there's always emotional undercurrents that we really need to explore and get curious about so we can really come to the table with high value, high ticket contracts that really allow us that financial freedom that we need and we actually desire and we deserve, right? So that's what we're gonna really talk about. I will go through what's included in the proposal, but most of the time we're going to be getting into our money mirror exercise and just really exploring. So I encourage all of us to just get curious today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And just to recap, remember day 1, we learned all about the power of positioning. And, we talked about the Febreze example, but really, I just wanted to remind you about our girl, Kim. I know you can say a lot about her, but she really positioned her selfie, her ability to get views. That was her sweet spot. And she built an empire around what she does best, regardless if you hate her or love her. And so again, it's all about positioning and really staying true to what you do best and finding ideal clients that really fit your sweet spot. Remember, that's what we learned. And it's really important because your unique skill set, your unique value, your passions and quirks that you love, there's businesses out there that are going to really align to that, where you can position yourselves to bring some real value to solve some problems for those businesses. So that's where we learned all about our sweet spot exercise. If you haven't done that, make sure to go back to day 1 and do that exercise, because that's what we need to help create our transformation statements and get our foot in the door to clients or even customers around your ideal client is centered around your sweet spot. And then really identifying problems that businesses have and positioning yourself to solve them through the conversation, right? And that's what we learned on day 2. It's really easy to position yourself to businesses, as I said on day 2, and why I love targeting businesses, because they either need to make money or save money or reduce costs. And so these are the 2 areas that you can help businesses. No matter what you do, you're either helping them increase customers or help their existing customers spend more, or you're helping increase their staff retention or make them more productive or reduce waste somehow. Those are the main kind of problems that businesses have, that if you have your sweet spot, you can figure out how you fit into helping them increase sales and reduce costs. Okay. Once you have that transformation statement, now you can go out and start having conversations with businesses, business owners, or your ideal clients, and get your foot in the door in order to have a conversation. And that's really what we dug into. Once you do that, you're just framing up their problem, defining where the gap is in their problem, how come they can't solve it, and then just sharing ways or ideas of how you can help fill that gap for them. And then today is where you're setting up those next steps, because remember, everything that I'm about to show you today is that conversation is you just asking questions to just take as many notes as you can, because they're going to tell you everything to put into the contract, which is what we are going to talk about today. Okay, so really important that when you're in day 2 having that conversation, you're going through each section and you're taking really, really good notes and even recording that conversation, because now we want to put it into a workflow or a frame or, an outline really of a contract where it offers more collaboration and where it's really clear and distinct the value and the purpose and the problem that you're solving. And that's where you can position yourself as a higher value, contractor or consultant. Okay. So here are really kind of this is the outline of your contract. Now, it may look like a lot, but it's very, very short and sweet. Really, hopefully, all of your bullet points just from your notes. You just want to put it in, summarize, clean it up, and there you go. There's your contract. I'm going to quickly go through each one of these. Okay. And then we will dig into kind of the pricing and the packages, which is really important as well. So your overview is really, you just want to provide an overview of the problem and the opportunity just by summarizing what you heard from your client. So this is really the frame up, right? You don't want to introduce yourself or sell your business. I made this mistake. They will literally come back and say, get rid of all of this, right? Sometimes they have to go get this approved. So you want it to be short and sweet and to the point and very clear as to what you're coming to do. And the overview is just a summary of that frame up. What is the problem and the opportunity that you're there to solve? Okay, focus on them, outline the problem, summarize it, use the same language that the client used. This is why taking good notes and recording that conversation is really important. Okay, so here's just my example of literally what I use. And again, I can share this template if you guys want. It's literally in a Word document. Again, I just take the notes, but in this example, this client, they needed to they're a startup. Again, that's my sweet spot, helping startups get to that 10 million. They're just starting out and wanted to get to a 7 million revenue goal. So we worked that out, had that conversation, and that's really, really clear what I'm here to do in this brief summary. Okay, now the intended outcomes is you want to focus really more in a series of bullets of what the intended outcomes of you guys working together are. What should they expect? What's the results that they're going to get? And include numbers if you can. Remember, this is why you want to really get into this and peel those layers in that conversation so you can get to these kind of numbers and this kind of detail. You don't want to write anything long or make them think or guess in any way. So here's my example. They needed to develop a marketing strategy to get to a 7 million revenue goal. They needed to enable their sales team, and they needed to create customer enablement materials to help accelerate their pipeline. So those were kind of the main buckets or areas or projects that I was going to be working on that they really needed. Here is one because of an example that I have where they're a business or leadership coach. So again, just what the objectives of their collaboration, identifying critical behaviors that need to be implemented, downloading best practices, etc. But you can see that their short-term measures is they're going to increase their average revenue per team from $8 to $12. It's very clear what the outcome is. And this is so important because this is how you price outside of salary or outside of hours. Okay. So this is really important. It's a great example. Okay. So the opportunity is when you want to outline the value and the impact of the work you're going to be doing together. So this will help set up like how much you're going to charge. So make that like connect the value to the impact of the work and really start to frame up that perceived value for your client. So emphasize all of that impact. Some of it may not be financial. Some of it may be like emotional or maybe an impact in the community, maybe an impact in the school district, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a financial impact, although, of course, that's always going to get your foot in the door. And yes, that's always probably some sort of way, but there could be other impacts that you need to consider. And just cite all of the data and everything that you guys discussed in that conversation. Again, don't write long paragraphs or make it just difficult for people to understand. So again, they were currently making 5 million or like 5.5 or whatever, but the impact was 1.5 million in this conversation. And this is what the result was going to be. We were going to drive a pipeline by 2.5 times that revenue goal by the end of Q2. So again, we were having SMART goals. They were very specific, trying to get customers with at least 100K contracts. So it was really clear where I needed to focus my projects and my effort on these very specific results. Okay. So recommended approach is really providing options for consideration on how you can partner with the client to achieve the results that they want. So I do recommend providing options if it's not really clear what they want. And this is why those next steps. So in your conversation, remember step 3 is kind of talking about next steps. And one of the questions you may want to include in that step is when you're talking about, ways that you've worked with clients or ways that you see them working, see yourself working with that client as they're talking, you can put it back on them. Like, how do you see it? What do you feel or what do you think is best? And your client will literally tell you what they're recommended or what their approach is. Or they may just say, here's what I'm thinking. And this is where you can put it in a few options for them. Usually you want it in a kind of pricing based on the access to you. So here's how you could do that. But again, you want these, if you're going to have options, if you guys aren't in your conversation really clear on how you're going to work together and it's kind of open, you always want to provide a few options for them to consider to make it more collaborative and make there be a reason for you to come back to the table to have that discussion to really finalize what's going to be best. Okay. So this is really setting you up to, again, come with value and come with options. And I tried to provide some examples of what I mean by this based upon the folks that I know have registered. So I know there's like some folks that are like branding experts, or maybe you have a specific technical skill. Maybe you're Six Sigma certified or something, or maybe you have a workflow or process or some kind of certification, some type of technical expertise, graphic design. This would be your kind of example where, like, for example, you have a course, you have a branding course, 101, and you can show them how to do it. Or maybe it's like train the trainer. I'll show your teachers and then your teachers can train the other ones. For example, if you have a specific technical skill, it's kind of like a course. Or you can do a course plus something custom for them. Or maybe it's a complete program where it's a course, and you'll design their whole brand for them, their logo, their brand guidelines, everything. You'll set them up with their social media brand, whatever the case may be. It's a whole done for you package. Okay. So this could be, okay, here's one for a teaching example, maybe leadership or some type of teaching instructional type of example. So maybe you have a teaching or a coaching boot camp where you come on site for a day or two. And then maybe that includes a boot camp plus an implementation plan with the leaders. And then the sustainability one is, again, the boot camp, the blueprint, the implementation plan, plus a certification for future in-house trainers or for future leaders. So again, you're just providing options that provide for that collaboration in that second call that you set up in that last step. This is for my strategy folks, like your SEO, if you have marketing, you have strategy expertise, you can perform like an audit or some type of analysis, maybe a competitive analysis, an SEO and a keyword analysis, right? Then maybe you can perform that audit plus a planning session, plus a whole session where you can really dig in and you can have that one-on-one with that expertise and you can help them build their whole plan. Or the last one is you can help do that plus actually execute it. You have the staff or the team where you can actually be that SEO expert and be kind of on their team. So again, hopefully this is giving you examples of different ways that you can come to the table. And so the options, really how you price it, is your access. So the least amount is you creating something that you can give them with little access to you. And then the more access to you, the more it costs, because your time, again, you are the value. So as a consultant or a coach or expert, you are really building the amount of time or access that they have to you. That's how you're pricing it. Okay, so hopefully this is giving you ideas. I'll give you this workshop. This is something that companies are paying for, especially really big companies. They have a lot of money to spend on culture. Okay, so this is like you're a pain expert and you're going to teach people how to create pain-free workspaces and how to sit properly so they can be more productive. So especially working from home, but maybe their workspaces aren't set up properly. Maybe they're spending more time in the chair, they're working longer and they don't even know it because they're just working from home. So again, this is an idea. You can have a workshop and it can be an interactive workshop where you just show up for the day. The second example could be the workshop plus you going and maybe having a virtual, because it is virtual now, or you going on site and actually helping them fix their seat and helping them with their workspace. And then option 3 is a challenge. So I know some of you like have the juicing, maybe you have some type of health or wellness product that you can now go to a business and do the same thing. You can do workshops around juicing and healthy habits, maybe in the morning, right? Or maybe for lunch and during the day, especially when they're working remote. Then you can do that. Plus you can have one-on-one coaching or just access to review their meal plans. And then you can do like a 30-day juice challenge. And the winners at the end get a free juicer, a really expensive one or something. So again, this is something now you can do, thinking about these options. If you know your ideal client now, because everything's around your sweet spot, now you can go and have these conversations, because companies are losing employees. Employees are less productive. They're wasting a lot of money. So you can really come in if you have these kind of wellness, leadership, training, anything that can help with that. You have something that businesses need right now. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful. I have some fresh orange juice my husband made. It's really good, but it's like really tart. Okay, so timelines and next steps. Do not skip this part. And just be concise, you don't need to write out the entire project step by step necessarily, but do have kind of an idea of when you're going to deliver things and when things can expect to get done, and just give an idea of timeline and next steps. So this is what I did based upon their needs. I know I'm going to have to write a strategic marketing plan, a sales enablement plan, customer enablement plan. And I gave them that option. If they want content marketing, I can write some of it, or I have writers on hand, and design needs in those last weeks to wrap everything up if they needed it. So that's an option that I provide. And if they go for it, then I have people that I know that I reach out in my network to just say, hey, come on, I have some extra cash. You guys want to do this? And then we all hop on it together. So that's something that I've done. Okay. And then you just give the investment. Now, here's the thing. You do not offer an hourly fee, ladies. We are done with offering hourly fees because we are coming in with the Mercedes value. So when somebody comes in to buy a Mercedes, they put the money on the table and they do not nickel and dime them. It is what it is, and it's expensive and we know it, but you get what you pay for. And that is you. So you do not offer an hourly fee, and you don't offer multi-pay options without an incentive for full payment in advance. Like, you want your money. This is about, remember, the number one reason why businesses fail is cash. You got to get the money to get that on ramp to sustain your business long term. So this is why it's really good to target businesses, because you can get that cash flow quicker. Because you got to be clear on your pricing, and you might want to offer those multiple price points. That's why those packages are important. And again, pricing it to your access. If you're solving a particular problem, it just positions you to really price that bigger one and really express that full value. So for those of you that are like, okay, I'm kind of interested in doing some workshops, this is how much workshops, this is how much you could charge. Maybe the workshop's $2,400 to $5,400. And then again, to that access to you. If you want the challenge, it's $5,400, maybe even more, depending, and that's up to maybe 10 employees, or how many employees that you think you can handle in that challenge, or they want. You guys can come up with that. Here's if you want more of that expertise, that business leadership coach, these workshops, if you have productivity, habits, I mean, so many things, these workshops you can offer really hands-on workshops that you could charge a lot for. And this is a good rule of thumb. This was from a woman who does this. And so she knows how much you can charge for these workshops. So this is on average what you could charge for a workshop. Now, for those of you that maybe don't know a workshop to do, just contact me. I could give you a whole package of a vision board workshop that you could do. So many companies and teams, it's a good team building, culture building workshop where you can help them do a vision board. You could do it virtually. You could do team boards virtually. So let me know if you need an idea. And again, this is on average that you could charge for these workshops, ladies. And businesses have the money to give you. Okay. Now, when does it make sense to have a retainer? I do have a client right now that I'm on a retainer. And it's really because there's so much to be done in their startup that I'm really just an extension of their team, but I just do limited hours. They only have up to so many of my hours, and it's kind of like use it or lose it, like a lawyer. So you can do that in certain situations, but again, that's to pay. He has priority access to me. It's almost like I'm a part-time employee. I have certain hours and everything else. But it's kind of like I have, my deliverables are clear, but it's really only up to certain hours. If I get them done, I'm done. Okay. And if you're not sure how to price, like, go back and ask. Again, this is why you're setting up that next step and setting up your contract in this way, so you can be more collaborative. And sometimes I've had 3, 4, 5, 6 conversations before I got it right. So you're never going to get the contract right on the first time. That's why, again, you just want to come to the table, ladies. Come to the table with something. They will tell you what they want because they want to hire you. If they're asking you for the contract, they want to hire you. Now it's just a matter of working out the details. And you're never going to get it right the first time. So don't worry about that. Take the notes. This is what I heard. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think? And that's why you want it to be set up in this way, so it can be more collaborative, and they can really guide you on what they want and pay you for it. Okay. And just the summary, just don't skip that part. Just summarize the next steps. Remember, in the contract, you guys talked whether it's going to be, I'm going to talk to you on Friday, or whatever those next steps are. Make sure you summarize and don't skip it. Okay. And just show how important that you're excited to get started, and just say, like, this is meant to be collaborative. This is my recommendation. But of course, all of this can be discussed when we meet on Friday, whatever the thing, or whatever your next meeting is. Okay. So again, it's just all summarizing that conversation, putting something down, bringing it to the table, and really coming to the table to just have that, like, another conversation around that. So hopefully that is taking kind of the pressure off. And so really what I want to do, and one thing that I forgot to do just because I'm recording, is I didn't really get us to settle in. And so I would like to do that now, because we're kind of wrapping up kind of the contract, get clear, get a conversation, get a contract. But really none of it really matters, ladies, if we don't understand our relationships with money, with ourselves, with our bodies, with all of these things. It's really important. And really the contract and the pricing and going through all of this doesn't matter if you don't understand the relationship that you have with money. And that's what I really wanted to spend these last 30 minutes talking about and going through, is a really powerful exercise that changed everything for me when it came to money and my capacity to earn money, and why I've just been so focused on certain things over these past few years to really help conquer and overcome these strongholds that we have, because we have them. And so it's really crucial that we talk about money, especially if you guys are trying to build a business. You can't shy away from it, because in order to be masterful and successful as a business owner, you have to attract your ideal clients. You have to close or convert those clients into customers, right? Into revenue. And then you have to deliver on what you sold with confidence. And that all revolves around money. Everything you do as a business owner has to revolve around money. So we got to figure out how we relate to money. And so what does it mean to have a relationship with something? The dictionary defines relationship as to tell, to give an account of an event, a circumstance, or to bring into or establish association, connection, or relation. So basically, relating to something means telling a story about it to yourself or others, or getting into or establishing connection with it. Okay. And so, which begs the question, when it comes to your relationship with money, what story are you telling? And I really had to dig into this. I actually have this sitting next to me as a reminder. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this was something I wrote down the last hotel trip that I took for a business that I was working for. I was following like this money coach, this woman, and she would say like money, 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 money in her post. And it just made me so uncomfortable how she was just like forcing money and just making you feel so comfortable with like this money. She had it all the time. She was just like money, 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 money. And she would say, take your yearly income and turn it into your monthly income. And that should be your money goal. Your money goal should be your yearly income that you're making now. Turn that into your monthly goal. And that should be your money goal. So if you're making 40 a year, your money goal should be 40 a month. If you're making 80 a year, 80 a month. 150 a year, you're making 150 a month, girl. That should be your money goal. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. And I was like, why can't I? And why can't you? Why can't we? So this exercise really helped me understand why I had the belief that I couldn't, because I was telling myself that there was no possible way. And this girl was I just had a negative opinion about her because of how confident she was about money. But I had to be confident about it too if I wanted to be a business owner and break free from being a salaried employee, right? Okay, so we got to discover how we can relate differently to money so you can understand and believe the value in your services. So you have no problem charging whatever amount you want and fully accepting it, or going to your boss and saying that you want to raise and fully accepting that, or allowing yourself to make more money than you ever have before. I'm going to tell you guys, I made more money last year than I ever have before. And I did nothing different. It was the hardest year, but I made the most. And I did nothing different but just show up and really face this money mirror that we're going to get into. So I really can't wait. So before we have this breakthrough that I had, we got to break down a few things about money. Okay, here's the 2 myths we got to break down real quick. Sorry. Ooh. That's good, babe. That's good. I feel like this is wrong too, but that's okay. Okay. So myth number 1 is that money corrupts you or changes you. So we hear it all the time. Money is the root of all evil. Describing wealthy people as filthy rich, or look what's happening right now. It's all rooted in money, right? It's all greed and money, and everything's money driven. And so, yeah, it's easy to say that money can corrupt you. But money is not the reason that there's corruption. A lot of people worry that if they make more money, that they'll somehow become somebody that they don't like, and that they'll become greedy or selfish or thoughtless, or rude or insensitive, and that their values will change, or they'll just become something that they don't like. And so they really get scared off by money, and that internally triggers them to not make much money at all or keep the money that they make. And so we want to suggest here as a community that money doesn't have the power to change you. Money only increases or enhances what is organic or innate in you already. Money in itself is not corrupt. It just doesn't have that capability. Like, consider a knife. When you're chopping up vegetables to feed your family, a knife is not harmful. But if you're stabbing somebody at the dinner table, then yes, the knife is not such a positive thing, but it's not the knife that is the cause of it, it's the person. Okay. So if you are generous and warm and thoughtful, then the more money you have, the more generous and more thoughtful you're going to be. Okay. Another reason, ladies, is money is part of your spiritual path. It can be the measure of good work that you're doing in this world. It is how you are showing up in this world. The more money you make in your business, the more people you are all ultimately helping, because I know every one of you has a desire to do something good. Okay. So the more people you're helping, the more you're using your gifts and your talents to fulfill your life purpose. And that money is just a barometer of that, of how you're showing up in your true, authentic self. Also, when you open yourself up to making more money, you place yourself in full alignment with your creator, who knows nothing but abundance, an abundance of ideas, an abundance of opportunities, of action. I'm telling you, the more you show up, the more is going to show up for you. Okay. When you show up yourself to make more money, you are saying, yes, God, I am willing to receive your gifts in the form of money. And you will experience your life beginning to shift. Okay. The second one is that money doesn't grow on trees. Well, in fact, it does. It's made out of fibers and linen and cotton and coins. And that is organic, natural materials that come from our planet. So yes, in fact, money does in fact grow on trees. Okay. So we know that the earth is abundant and glorious and full and can provide what we need. And so this may open up to the possibility that you can have this real physical connection to it. And that's important because you don't want to feel disconnected or anxious about money. It's coming from the earth. It's good. And it's going to just continue to breathe, which is already inside of you, which is good. Okay. Here's the thing. If you don't pay attention to money, it will get your attention, and probably in a way you don't like, whether that's debt, whether that's your car breaking down, whether that's an injury, so many things that all this money I made, I have all this debt. It will pay attention. This is why I'm in the trenches with y'all about this money thing. We got to break free from this. There's plenty of money for all of us to make. Okay, so I really had to change my mindset around money. And so as we explore your mindset, I want to explore your mindset around pricing, right? Because that's what we ended with. You're going to end with pricing and putting that in front of somebody. And some of it, it's going to be a big chunk of money. 10, 15, 20K, ladies. Easy, a month. Okay. So yes. So since that is what we're ultimately briefly talking about today, I just really wanted to dig into this exercise because we mentioned earlier that money is reflecting your relationship to it right now. And so money is mirroring one or more of four things. It could be one, it could be all four, but it's one of four things. And how we do one thing is how we do everything. So I'm going to go through this and I just want you to be curious. I want you to stay with me and just stay open through this process, ladies. I promise, just stay with me and stay open, because everything comes down to how we're mirroring how we need to show up. And it comes down to needing boundaries, courage, deservability, and love. Okay. So if you want to think about for a moment about the most money. So in order for us to kind of dig into this more and to start this process, I need to ask you a question. Okay, so we're just going to get open and curious. And I really, really need to get a pen and paper. If you have to pause this video, please do so. Get a pen and paper because you have to write this down. It's so important. You write everything down, and I need you to stay open and curious and just stay with me, okay? Okay. So if you wouldn't mind just getting comfortable and feeling your bum and just taking a few deep breaths, just inhale, just that good energy, and exhale anything negative. Just inhale curiosity, exhale anything that might be negative. I want you to think about the most money you have made in a year, or the most that you can charging a client for one of your offerings now, that high value offering, or the most money that you want to make in a year. What is your goal, your money goal for the year? Write it down, please, or your money goal for really kind of thinking about that high value package, right? If you could charge a client a contract, what would that be? What would be kind of a goal for you in a contract or in a year's time? I need you to write that down. Just write it down on a document or note. Now, as soon as you have that right number written down, it's really important to write it down. You can't be in your head. Now, I want you to add a 0 to that right now. I want you to add a 0 to the end of that number. And I want you to hang on to your reaction to that and notice what it is. Just notice. Please stay with me and be curious. Notice what you immediately told yourself when you added a 0. In fact, I need you to write that down on a piece of paper next to this number. When you added a 0 to your number, what is the emotion? Curiosity, no judgment. This is so positive. What was it? This is so positive. What was it for you? What sparked for you? Now, there are 4 ways in which these can show up in a mirror. And again, your reaction that's being triggered is very positive. I know sometimes we're told that emotions are negative and we're told to hide them or shy away from them, or you feel shameful for having them. But every emotion is positive. Every emotion is trying to tell us something if we learn to listen and get curious instead of judge and shame ourselves. Okay? So every emotion is really trying to tell us one of these needs that we need in order to feel safe. Everything is about our safety. So that is telling us what we need to feel safe so we can take a big action this week when it not to take towards these money mirrors and really overcome our blockages of why we can't show up and charge whatever price we want or make whatever amount of money we want. Make that money that you put that zero next to. Okay. So remember what I said, those were boundaries, courage, deservability, and love. We're going to go over each one of these. Let's first talk about boundaries. Now, if you said, I don't think anyone will pay for that, or that is way too much, then your money mirror is boundaries. Okay. And this is how it's going to show up, or maybe this is how it shows up in your business or in your life. Remember, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So you cave in when asked. You don't hold firm to your needs. You break down after you say something like, oh, you don't have to pay out once. We can work something special. You do trades. You decide in advance how much someone can afford. Okay. So if that is you, just know that that is the money mirror of boundaries. And really the underlying current is the fear of rejection, sis. That's it. That's it. It shows up being told no, having a client or a friend, maybe they'll reject you in some way, they'll slip away, or maybe you feel like the opportunity will slip away. If I say this, then this is such a big opportunity and I don't want this to go to waste. So I'm just going to give it out for free, right? It all boils down to rejection, and you're kind of known as the pushover. This is the pushover. But remember, there's always a positive intent. And so, yeah, you may be seen as a pushover, but you just really want to help people and get them what they need and they want. And you're just trying to protect yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. So don't look at this as something negative. You just have to have a different mindset. And this is the great news. The mindsets that you have to practice now and you have to show up for now is responsibility. Okay. And what does that mean exactly? It means that each of us is responsible for our own financial decisions. I am responsible for my life. I am not responsible for the decisions or making the others or helping others. That is up to them. I have to take responsibility for my life. You have to take responsibility, sis. Okay. If you are doing favors, you're actually robbing people of the opportunity to decide for themselves. When you're not holding true to your boundaries, you are disempowering that other person. When you hold true to your boundaries, you're forcing the other person to step up to a more powerful version of themselves. Or they go away. And hey, that's okay. But if you don't, you are really could be robbing that person of a moment for that, a life-changing moment. So you got to take responsibility and own what you got to take your life. You can't take responsibility for other people's decisions or lives. Okay. All right. Let's talk about courage. So if you said, I couldn't ask somebody to pay me that much, I couldn't ask somebody to pay me $100,000 for a project. What? Actually, I honestly couldn't do that. Okay. Or maybe something bad might happen. Maybe that business will go under. Okay. This is how it shows up in your business or your life. You don't ask for a raise, or you don't raise your fees. You don't talk about your pricing. You don't talk about how much you make, or you don't want to close the deal. You don't talk about closing the deal. You underprice, so you charge nothing, or you undercut your value. You don't like to stand out. Charging a lot or making a lot makes you stand out, and that makes you feel uncomfortable. So you procrastinate, or you get scared about discussing money. When I first started my journey, this was me. I do not like to stand out. And the underlying current is fear. And that is being noticed. And that really boiled down. This is where a lot of my childhood wounds and childhood work has started to come from, is because I started to realize that a lot of that came from a lot of those wounds that I had to face, because I was, you're known as the procrastinator. You wait till the last minute. And so what do you do instead? This is why I've really been focusing on over the past few years, my belief. You got to take on looking inward and seeing yourself as special and significant. And you got to believe in yourself. You got to take back some of your ground, and you got to challenge yourself and get an accountability. I was texting my girls about an accountability. Get somebody who's going to hold you accountable to showing up and making you believe in yourself. Okay, you got to challenge yourself to look really outward, to look at the people that you're going to serve and help. And you could change someone's life if you just believe in yourself. Don't diminish the impact of your work. So remember, God created you to stand out. He created us to be set apart. So you're made to be tall. You're made to take up space. You're definitely not enough, which is why you need God, but you're made to stand out. So take that on, take on that belief. You're here to make an impact, and you're here to make a difference for others. Okay. So hold true to that. That is your got to take on that mindset. Okay. If you said I could never do enough to deserve something like that, or I don't have enough skills, background, expertise to do something like that, right? Like I offered the vision board workshop, and you're like, well, I don't know how to do that. I've never led a workshop. I've never done a vision board. I don't know how to do that. This could be your you could have a deservability mirror. Maybe you overload your life or your programs with million hands out. You're constantly doing stuff. You're giving stuff away. You're bending over backwards. You're the people pleaser. You fault yourself for everything. You make yourself too available, right? You always say you're not good enough. But you have to say that you are as you are. You are good enough as you are, right? And you've got to hold true to your value. And how you do this, ladies, is you got to stop comparing and despairing. You can't compare yourself to anybody else, to any other woman or anything that's going on out there. You got your sweet spot. You saw that everything was centered around what you bring to the table, not what the girl next to you brings. So quit comparing yourself and focus on your value. What you have is what you have. Okay. And it is perfect right now as you are. It is what it is. It is what you have. And you got to focus on that. Okay. So the last is love. And when I did this the second time, this is now my money mirror. And so that is like, what would people think if I told them how much I charge, right? Like I charge 25K and stuff. I make six figures. Like it took me a lot of courage just to say and tell people that I make that much as a woman. It's very uncomfortable because I know what people think. And this is why, even though this past year I made the most money I've ever made in my life, I've spent and I'm in like a lot of debt because of it. We were on vacations, like we were go, 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 because I just had a lot of shame for like being in the situation, I guess, that I was in and having that. So you're like in a constant feast or famine. You're in debt, you have the credit card debt to pay off, right? And so you're kind of on this roller coaster ride with money. And maybe I did make a lot, but I don't have a lot, right? It's not like I have this huge business or whatever. I'm just saying, like, these are the things that I'm starting to explore about myself. Oops. I hope that's okay. That I'm exploring about myself, where I'm just saying I'm creating a cycle for myself. And the underlying current is shame. This is a lot of where this imposter syndrome comes from. Like, who am I to lead this workshop? Who am I? What are they going to think of me? No one's going to, but like everybody tries to do these workshops. You got to be a leader. And I did not make this up. The antidote for love is you got to be a leader. You got to step up and you got to be a leader, because the more increase that you have for yourself, the more increase you can have for others. And the more you can inspire others to step up for themselves and do the same for themselves. This is what it's all about. We can all have billions. Why not? We got to be leaders at the end of the day. Okay. So, again, telling people that I made the money that I made, it's like, that was one of the things that kept me from doing this workshop, saying that I make six figures. And it was finally like, I just have to be a leader and just say, yes, I did it. I did it during the pandemic, ladies. And so can you. And I have this framework and I'm going to show you all how to do it. So as you think about these these money mirrors, pick one or two. I mean, all of these I can resonate at some point in my journey in my life, even like right now. But the one that resonates with me right now is the love money mirror. And so for me, I've got to be a leader. I've got to work on stepping up and doing what I'm doing, no matter how uncomfortable it feels, because that is how I'm going to overcome my relationship with money and make more money. So, what do you have to overcome to work on your relationship and break these strongholds that you have with your relationship with money? Are you terrified of rejection? So you would just say no first to yourself. So you say, like, I know I should work out, but I gotta do this for my friend or my whatever. Okay. Are you just afraid to be noticed? So you don't want to take the steps? Like, a part of me wants to look good, but I don't want to stand out and be too sexy. Okay. Are you somebody who's afraid it'll be too much work? So I haven't worked hard enough. So I'm going to attract, or I'm going to, haven't worked hard enough to have this business. So I'm going to work myself to death. Or, everyone's going to think I'm a fraud if I say that I did this, and I just have so much shame. I just, it I should, I can't tell other people. I can't show them how it's done. They're going to judge me, right? What is your big action step, ladies? And so, with that, I encourage you to find your action step, post it into the Facebook group. Okay. Again, what is your small step? Here are the small steps that I'm going to be taking. Hopefully, as you can see, there's so much going on, so many positive things are going on. And my goal is to continue to build this community. And so right now I'm going to be doing it in a Facebook group, but my goal is to move this into a platform that has this more as a course and allows us to create more of a community. The one that I have right now obviously isn't working, so I need to find something new. But that is something that I want to do, is start to create a community. Something else to look out for are lives. I've never done a live before, or maybe a podcast called Wine About It Wednesdays, where I just want to get together with my girlfriends and just really work things out about things that women whine about the most, but just workshop it out. It obviously always has to do with our emotions and our mindsets, right? And our beliefs. But I want to drink wine over it because, again, why not? Other things that I want to do. So if you're a woman or you know a woman where we could do other workshops together or mentorship programs, I really want to host local workshops here in the Arizona area, or I'm willing to kind of drive to California or other places nearby for now, or travel to do like launcher parties or business workshops where, again, I can talk about positioning, you can talk about branding, you could talk about whatever. We could talk about so many of different things, mindful body movements, whatever the case may be. There's so many things that we can do to help women in their business that's outside of just like sales and marketing and finance. So those things are beneficial. I know there's a lot of women out there who we can incorporate more of these types of things and really create some powerful workshops for women. And then lastly, I want to do a YouTube channel. I've gotten a few videos up, but I will get there. But finally, I know the one action step. In order for me to, again, be a leader, I got to take the action step. And so that's why I've put down the deposit, ladies, for us to do our retreat. I'm going to partner with my girl, Jackie Morales, who has a Ready, Set, Shift program. And we are going to bring this program to life on the beach in Rocky Point. So with all of my coaching, and then she has so much experience in certifications and trained in mindful meditation and body movement. Together, we're just really going to provide a, an opportunity for women to get revived and feel relaxed on the beach in Rocky Point. It's going to be September 1st through the 4th. I'm also going to have guest coaches. So Coach Yo, my mother-in-law, she will be there as well to help us in some of the sessions. But I can't wait to partner with Jackie. We're already getting the agenda and getting all of the details planned out this week so we can announce this as soon as possible, all the details. If you're interested, just head to the website. You'll see the Revive Her retreat there. You can just submit your name to get on our list or submit a $500 deposit. But it will have your meals, we'll have massages, there's going to be water activities, we're going to have workshops, so many things, you guys. It's going to be amazing. And I can't wait. I can't wait. So this is my big action step to be a leader. And we're going to do this. We're going to be on the beach and it's going to be amazing. We will have hopefully a photographer there to take pictures, nightly activities. We've partnered with other folks. So many more details are coming. We're going to have so many goodies and just so many things. So you're going to maybe come stressed, but you're going to leave revived. And I can't wait to meet you all on the beach and be there. So if you're interested, definitely let me know. More details are coming. I will be emailing you all with more details so you can share it with other ladies who you think would be helpful, that you think would love to join. Okay, so time for action. Please post your action step. What is your money mirror? And what are you going to do this week? My money mirror is love. I need to show up and be a leader. So I put this huge deposit down for our retreat ladies in September, because we're going to show up and we're going to show up ready to just focus on ourselves and get revived and get our visions ready for the end of the year. So we are feeling great. What's your action step? Post it in your Facebook community or post it on your social media and make sure and tag me so I can see it. But you need to start declaring these action steps out loud so we can hold each other accountable. Accountability is the only way to get from where we are today to where we need to go. That's it. We will not show up on our own. We got to hold each other accountable. Okay. So I'm going to keep texting you if I'm texting you, or, keep posting in the Facebook group until I get that community created, which will be soon. But what's your action step to take these big goals towards your financial freedom, ladies? I love you all. Thank you all so much for joining me in the first Business Leader Workshop. I hope this was helpful, and hopefully I'll see you guys in Rocky Point, September. Mwah.